Well, hello folks. It's been far too long since I've made a film for YouTube, and I hope in this film I'm able to explain the reasons why and maybe bring you up to speed with what's happening for me at the moment. It's Bank Holiday Monday, August, and I'm just going out for a wee paddle, and I thought I'd make a wee film. So it's a beautiful day in terms of it being not wet, which is which is wonderful after the heavy rain that we've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks, and the wind is very light as well, so lovely. A really lovely paddling day. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll be chatting to you as I paddle. I'm heading towards Bloody Bay, so as I paddle in that direction, past the lighthouse, and then into Bloody Bay, maybe up to Ardmore Point to see how I feel. I have to say, all of a sudden it's looking incredibly autumnal, or early autumnal. Certainly feels like the end of summer now. Just looking at the trees and the change in the colour of the leaves. With these calm conditions, I hope I might see some porpoises or dolphins, maybe an otter or two. I often see them along this stretch of coastline towards the lighthouse. So in Bloody Bay now, so called because of an early medieval battle fought between Scottish clans, essentially the Crown of Scotland against the Lords of the Isles. I think in the early 1400s, or maybe the late 1300s. I need to check it up. But it was one of those decisive battles that kind of settled a few scores, I think. And hence the name, it's always held the name. So if you look at a map of Mull, the Isle of Mull, and you'll find Bloody Bay, sort of the northwest corner of the island. So across there you can see Ardnamurchan, and that's the most westerly point of mainland Britain, or mainland Scotland. And then on the left, just coming around, is Ardmore Point. So this is an area that I don't often come paddling into, to be honest. I tend to just paddle around Carve Island if it's just a short day out or a couple of hours out. I think mainly because it's an out and back kind of paddle, it's not a circular paddle. You know, Carve Island, you paddle around Carve Island and you can choose which direction to go. Whereas this, you know, it's from Tobermory out, past the lighthouse, and then into Bloody Bay, and then along the shoreline and then back again. But often it's a rewarding paddle because you do get to see otters often, and often get to see porpoises and dolphins out this way. And certainly if I go out towards Ardmore, in the far distance there, I might get to see something that way as well, lots of seals as well. And often get to see eagles soaring along the cliff edges, which is lovely as well. So keep my eyes peeled for them as well. But it is a really lovely morning. I'm not paddling hard, I'm just ambling along really, to be honest. My paddling fitness isn't what it used to be. So I've just seen my first sea eagle, just launched off the cliff just up there, and has flown away down the cliffs, below the cliffs, so it's difficult to pick it out. It looked like an immature one, fairly, the tail wasn't that distinct, and I can't see where it landed now. But I'm sure it will lift off again as soon as I sort of paddle towards its vicinity. That was lovely. Lovely to see an eagle. It's lovely to know that they're there. They're close to Tobermory as well. Often when I'm walking on the golf course, which is behind up there, often see them soaring over the golf course. Well, sadly I didn't film it, but I've just had an incredible encounter with 3 sea eagles. The youngster that I'd seen earlier was now down on the rocks nearby, just here. And unbeknownst to me, there were a couple of adults nearby as well, and I think they took umbrage to me being quite close to their offspring, and they started shouting at me and then flying around above my head, and I was transfixed. Managed to get a couple of photographs, I think. Hopefully they'll come out, but I didn't think to put the camera on and film the encounter. But absolutely incredible to have this really intimate encounter with these 3, huge birds. And they've now flown off. But what a delight! Absolutely incredible. Like I keep saying. But well, there you are, coming into Bloody Bay, and I get to see eagles. Fantastic. turning into a really warm, sunny morning, which is lovely. I'm in the lee of the land and out of the wind. I think there's quite a keen breeze from the west today, but it's not affecting me. Very special places where the fresh water meets the salt. Feels magical to me in a way, a kind of a liminal place. Not a very big stream. And of course, when the tide's a lot lower, you get a mini waterfall. But it's lovely. It's like a garden feature. You can see an old slipway here. I know there's an old ruined house up the hillside behind, so maybe they kept their boat down here and launched it into the sea and retrieved it every day. This is what I love about sea kayaking on the Scottish coastline, is finding these kind of secret, out of the way places that I would guess few people get to see really. It's not on the popular tourist route at all, and I'm not sure many people will come and explore the coastline like this. But being in a kayak like this, just ambling along and just being curious is what it's all about for me really. That and just being immersed in the immensity of nature. Well, I suppose this is as good a time as any to catch you up with what's been happening. It's difficult to believe, but in about 2 days' time, in 2 days' time, of course, it will be a year since I finished my paddle around Scotland. And yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe that a year ago I was coming to the end of a year-long paddling trip around Scotland. So it will be 2 years since I set off on that incredible journey. And yet it feels like yesterday, to be honest. because it was such an immense experience that it will live for me very, very richly in my memory for the rest of my life, I suppose. But in the immediacy of the moment now, it just feels like it was only a few months ago that I actually finished, not a whole year. And I had aspirations at the end of that journey to do a number of things, to achieve a number of things. And yet, a year later, having completed the journey, I feel like I've achieved nothing, to be honest. That I've kind of wasted the opportunity that I had at the end of my incredible journey. Since Christmas this year, last year and New Year this year, particularly from a late February onwards, I've been struggling with a deep depression, bout of depression, clinical depression. Many of you who follow me on social media and here on YouTube will know that I struggle with clinical depression, and that illness is very much part of my life. And sadly, I was very, very ill. So much so that just over a month ago, I came out of hospital after 7 weeks of being in hospital, psychiatric care, because of my depression. And thankfully now, towards the end of August, beginning of September, I'm beginning to feel stronger, I suppose. But I don't feel 100% still, to be honest. So the depression this year kind of robbed me of the whole of the summer. I feel robbed, to be honest. The depression inveigled me into a sense of listlessness and apathy that I find incredibly distasteful and annoying, and just dreadful, really. And I didn't go kayaking. I didn't do anything really. I didn't get out walking. I kind of just found myself sinking into a very, very deep and dangerous depression. And when I say dangerous, it's because I begin to believe that completing my suicide is the only solution. And it was when those beliefs became embedded within me and felt incredibly real, to the point that I made a definite plan and was intent on seeing it through, that I realised that I needed to really seek help. There's within me a kernel of self-preservation, and even though I may be thinking of taking my life because of my depression, there's that sense of there's a kernel of reality there. That's the best way that I describe it. That kind of reminds me that everything that I've learnt about my illness and about myself is that I have the tenacity to hang on, and that if I do hang on, that I will eventually recover and get well again. So by seeking help and seeing the GP, who was excellent and put into motion a whole chain of events which eventually saw me admitted to hospital within, I think, about 8 days of first going to see him, meant that I kept myself safe, meant that I was safe, and got the care that I needed, which was a hospital admission, which means that I'm safe from myself. There's no chance that I can make an attempt on my life while I'm on the ward. And I get regular and daily support from the nursing staff, and regular support from a psychiatrist who is able to assess my condition more closely and more thoroughly. And in this instance, my medication was changed, and my new medication, thankfully, seems to be having an effect, which is a first really for me. I'm fairly resistant to medication being helpful. So essentially that's the main reason why there has been radio silence in terms of my presence here on YouTube, because I just haven't had the will to make any films. I've really struggled with a sense of low self-esteem, very strong sense of low self-esteem, a very strong belief that I'm a fraud, that basically I'm just full of my own bullshit really, and a huge disliking for myself. So there was a long period of time that I was off social media, and yes, it was only when I went into hospital that I actually began to re-engage and tell my story again. And since then I've become more present, I guess, in the online world, which is a world that I inhabit and have welcomed in my life. And I've also begun to engage with the outdoors again, which is hugely beneficial. Hence, coming out and kayaking. So I'm moving in the right direction. My recovery is occurring. I do feel that I'm getting better. Although I do have to, at times, I feel like I have to combat the symptoms of the depression. The sense of low self-worth, very, very easily. How can I say it? A very tender sense of self, so that I'm easily bruised by my own thinking, if I can describe it that way. That I can easily dislike myself for something that I may have said, or the way I think I may have presented myself. But I'm looking forward, I'm looking ahead. I'm making definite plans, and I have an intent to stay well. And one of the aspects of my recovery from clinical depression, and the depression that I live with, is that I like to be an active participant in my recovery. So I rely on the support of the psychiatric services. I see a community psychiatric nurse once a week here on the Isle of Mull, and I have regular appointments with a psychiatrist and ready access to the GP service clinic here on Mull, and of course my medication, etc. But I don't rely on them curing me or getting me better. I firmly believe that my recovery is down to me, really. Is down to me sort of engaging with the world again and getting active again and making positive plans for a positive future for myself. And it's noticeable for me how I am beginning to look ahead with with a real sense of hope that I'm going to be a lot better. My sleep is dreadful at the moment. I'm not sleeping well, so I'm tired a lot of the time. Just physically tired, sleep deprived. I'm not sure why I'm not sleeping very well, but I'm taking steps to alter that in terms of. People have told me magnesium, for example, taking magnesium will help, increasing magnesium in my diet, healthy diet, getting out walking. We have a new puppy in our life, Jess, so she's helping keeping me active as well. And and I'm, keeping myself active during the day. I create art. I like to make jewelry still, and so I have my creativity. And when I was in hospital, I did a lot of writing as well, so that was part of my recovery process while I was in hospital. And there's the book of my journey, which I've been promising ever since I completed the journey, and I feel in a position now to get stuck back into that, having handwritten a huge amount of it while I was in hospital, and feeling like I found my voice with regard to how I want to recount the story in book form. But allied with that is this continual sense of self-doubt, and that's something I'm still working to overcome. So there will be those moments of hope, and then all of a sudden there will be a crash into a sense of self-doubt and the fact, the thoughts that that really my story isn't worth telling, and anyway, who'd want to hear it, and I can't write, for example, and I've read through what I've written already on my laptop and dislike what I've written, and so I need to work on that and overcome that, and know that I've already written a book about my other kayak journey around Scotland in 2015, and it's been well received, and people have told me that they've enjoyed reading it. So there's no reason why the book about this last journey wouldn't be as well received. So it's reminding myself of my abilities, and each day as I work towards my recovery, that self-belief becomes stronger. That positive self-belief rather becomes stronger. So that's where I'm at, and so it's been a torrid time, to be honest. This has been the worst depression that I can remember experiencing. I didn't make an attempt on my life, but I was very close to, and I'm glad I didn't. Obviously, I'm pleased that I'm here still, and I'm glad that I can sit here and talk to you and say to you that I've come through. And I think for the first time, I experienced my depression as an illness this time, rather than a sense that it's a psychological defect that I experience. There wasn't a trigger as such that set me off. So there wasn't a social situation or a life event which kind of upset the balance within me. It felt incredibly organic. It seemed to the depression seemed to well up from within me, and seemed inexorable as well. No matter how hard I tried to challenge the thoughts that I was experiencing and the beliefs I began to develop as a result. I was just overwhelmed by the illness, and yes, it felt physical as well. It felt like a physical illness, in that I was that any energy that I had was totally denuded, evaporated. Any ability to find enjoyment or joy in life dissipated, just disappeared, and was replaced with just a horrible sense of self-loathing and deep dislike for myself. I could function, on a day-to-day level. I didn't, I got through each day, and I kept myself tidy, and I didn't go to. I just didn't let myself go, but. Anybody meeting me probably wouldn't have suspected that I was ill as well. I could hold a conversation with people, but I did withdraw from society. I wouldn't engage, with any kind of social contact, and I would avoid going shopping, for example. And I became quite agoraphobic as well. I'd find it very difficult to leave the house. So by the time I was admitted to hospital, I was really ready for that level of care, and it came at the right time, and was just what I needed. And now that I've come through, I feel like I can begin to talk about my story once more, and begin to share with the wider world, with you, my hopes and aspirations. And just my, what I enjoy about living here in Scotland and on the Isle of Mull, and kayaking, and just being outdoors. So this is the first film, and the idea being that I begin to make more films again. I'm not going to commit myself to being a regular contributor at the moment, because I think if I do that, then I might let myself down, and obviously let you down as well as a subscriber or a viewer, regular viewer. But my aspiration is to get back into sharing my story. So, what plans do I have? Well, I have another adventure on the cards, and I'll leave a link in the show notes below to a page that I've put up on my website about my next adventure. And this time I'm bringing my sea kayak ashore, and I'm going to explore Scotland on foot. And on the 1st of January 2025, I'm going to set off from the Mull of Galloway, which is the southernmost point of mainland Scotland, and then I'm going to walk to Peterhead, a place called Keith Inch in Peterhead up on the east coast, and that's the most easterly point of mainland Scotland. And then from Peterhead I'm going to walk west to Ardnamurchan, which is the most westerly point of mainland Scotland. The purists might say that the Isle of Skye now presents the most westerly point because it's now linked to the mainland, but in my book the Isle of Skye is still an island, and it's only linked by a bridge. That the most westerly point of mainland Scotland remains Ardnamurchan, and then from Ardnamurchan I'm going to walk up to Dunnet Head, which is the most northerly point up near Thurso. So it's a journey of just over, the route that I've planned is just over 1,000 miles, about 1,009 miles, and I'll be walking through the latter half of winter. So so that will be a challenge. And the whole reason for doing it is to again explore Scotland, but I again want to raise awareness about mental health, living with depression, that it's possible to live with depression or a mental health illness and still function and realise aspirations and ambitions. It's still possible to have adventure. I want to immerse myself in wildness again, as I did on my journey around Scotland. I'm seeking that sense of challenge and the achievement that comes with that. I'm hoping to meet people, as I met many people, wonderful people, on my journey around Scotland in my kayak last year and the year before. And get to see places in Scotland that I wouldn't normally choose to visit. So my route takes me through some landscapes that I hadn't thought of actually taking myself to, just to go and explore them. So for example, the Flow Country, which is the northeast area of Scotland, which is very boggy and is a World Heritage Site. I think it's a UNESCO site, in terms of being incredibly important for its biodiversity and its capacity as a carbon sink, because it absorbs so much carbon from the atmosphere, and also, an incredibly beautiful and wild landscape. There's this, the southern uplands of Scotland that I've never really thought of walking through before. Just so many places, the eastern Scotland as well. Encountering history. I'm very interested in Scotland's early history, so my route takes me via lots of hill forts and old castles and stone circles and Pictish symbol stones and things like that. So yes, it's going to be a challenge, and I'm really looking forward to it. The other thing I've done is I've bought myself a paraglider, and I've always wanted to paraglide. And I in fact got my gliding license. I flew a glider solo when I was 16 years old. Well before I got past my driving license. I didn't get my driving license until I think I was 19. So I could fly a glider solo before I could drive a car. And I've always enjoyed flying, particularly gliding, non-powered flight. And so the thought of getting into the mountains with a lightweight glider, which is what I've bought, it's only 1 kilogram in weight, with a very lightweight harness, climb the mountain and then fly back down. And the idea is that on my long walking journey, that I'll carry this paraglider with me, and if the conditions allow and I find myself up high and there's a good opportunity to fly back down, then that's what I will do. so there's that aspect as well, and yeah, so that's the big plan for the beginning of next year, and then the idea of one of the reasons for doing it through the winter, it means that I have the rest of the summer after that next year, 2025, to just enjoy being back here on the Isle of Mull, and hopefully not being ill, and doing what I wanted to do this summer, which was just to explore our local coastline and make lots of short YouTube films about sea kayaking and exploring, which is what I didn't do this year. So that's the plan. Now, one of the other aspects of doing the journey, reasons for doing the journey, is to talk about a charity or a charitable foundation that I'm in the process of establishing. And this was something that I had hoped to have achieved by now this year, but I haven't been able to do it because of my illness. And the foundation is essentially a grant-giving foundation for people over the age of 50 who want to experience an adventure in their lives and would benefit from some kind of kickstart to help them on the way. Particularly people who may be facing some challenge in their lives, whether it be like me, living with a mental illness, or maybe they're recovering from cancer or a serious health condition, or maybe coming through an unfortunate life circumstance, and who feel that getting outdoors and having an adventure, big or small or medium, whatever it might be, would be beneficial. And I certainly believe that having an adventure, being outdoors, is beneficial for us as humans. And I'm not going to go into why I believe that, but generally that, it works for me, and having come through my life as a personal development trainer in the outdoors and an outdoor instructor, particularly with Outward Bound, where the philosophy is very much based around the adventurous experience, enabling us to understand ourselves and our potential more clearly, and I think that's why I want to set up this charity. It's only going to be a small charity to begin with. The grants aren't going to be huge. I need to raise the money so that I'm able to afford to, the charity is able to afford to provide the grants to people. I'm going to approach a number of people with regard to becoming trustees, and I will hand the responsibility of the charity across to them and to somebody who will be employed by the charity to take it forward in a healthy direction. And what I want to do is just kind of step back, not be involved directly, but kind of be an ambassador for the charity in terms of, having established it, and then go ahead and live my life in a way that promotes the existence of the foundation. So at the moment, it's very simply called the LifeAfloat Foundation in my head. It may change. People might come up with a different name. So I've drawn up a proposal. I've thought through the whys and wherefores, and thinking about how people apply for grants, the criteria, around grant giving. The reason I've chosen an specific age band over the age of 50 is because I believe that there is a lot out there for younger people, and there isn't much provision for people over the age of 50. And I, in terms of the people who follow me, the demographic, I would say the majority of people who are interested in me and my story are 50 years and over. So it makes sense for me to remain in touch with that demographic. And it's important for me too to be offering something tangible back to the community who have been incredibly supportive. So this isn't just about me setting up a foundation. This is part of the mutuality of the whole of my existence, really. That I've gained a huge amount from the support from people who I've yet to meet, from people who I've been very fortunate to meet, and of course my close friends and new friends and my family. And so I want to offer something tangible in return, in the form of this foundation, to anybody and everybody, but to you as well, my supporters, my followers, my subscribers, people, well, you who are interested in me as a person. And that for me is particularly important, and that's a strong motivation as well. So there'll be more to come. I'll be talking more about this. I'm going to be registering the foundation, charitable foundation, here in Scotland, so that it's a very thorough and legal process, that it's done properly, it's done ethically, it's done for all the right reasons, and hopefully that it's sustainable and it can exist for a long period of time and sustain itself as a useful foundation. So that, I find as I talk to you about that, I feel really energized and excited, and I hope it makes sense for you too, and I would really welcome any comments that you may have with regard to my idea and my intention with this. So I've got the walk and I've got the foundation, so I've got a lot to be getting on with, and then I've got the book to finish, and then I'd love to find a publisher to publish it. If not, then I will just self-publish again, but it would be lovely to have the book published. That's an internal hurdle I need to get over in terms of my self-belief that I'm good enough. And then to continue to re-engage again with life in a more active manner and a more positive way. So thank you for being patient, and thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate all the support that I've received over the last few months, and the years before that, of course, but particularly over the last few months with regard to me coming through this really deep bout of depression. So thank you. Right, I'm just going to paddle on a bit, and then if I think of anything else to say, I'll say it. Thank you. So I want to finish this film with an apology. Again, I apologise for the long delay in posting another YouTube film, and I hope you understand why now. But I really want to apologise to the many hundreds of you who've reached out to me through messages, through contact through my website, comments you may have made on my various social media platforms, Twitter or X as it's now known, Threads, which I'm now on, and Instagram, or my Facebook page, and have received very little in response from me. The reason why I've been so tardy in replying is because I really have not liked myself at all, and I have found it incredibly difficult to receive your kindness, to embody your kindness. I've just found it very difficult to believe that I'm worthy of your love and support, to be honest. And so I kind of shut myself down from being able to receive that. And therefore, in response, I didn't respond. And this is something that I regret very, very, very much. And I just wish I was different in being able to acknowledge your support, your individual support, and I apologise if I have caused any any hurt by not responding, because I know that it means something to reach out and to offer support, and it also means something to receive an acknowledgement. And when you don't receive an acknowledgement from me, I have this sense that that I am being ungrateful and that I am treating you disrespectfully and rudely. And so I am apologising to you for this, for my behaviour. And I hope that as I gain in strength, I behave differently and begin to engage with people on a one-to-one basis who have been kind enough to write to me and make contact with me. So I want you to know that I do really appreciate the support. I really do appreciate being acknowledged, and I do really appreciate being seen by you. But I want you also to know that I find it incredibly difficult, particularly when I am in the middle of a depression, because I dislike myself so much. So there's an apology, my sincere apology, and maybe hopefully a reason why I am giving this apology. So thank you. So there we are. So that's the end of this wee film. Ends with an apology. I'm going to paddle back. You can probably not make out the lighthouse from where I'm sitting here, but I'm going to head back now to Tobermory and continue my day. It's been wonderful to be out. Certainly incredible to see those sea eagles earlier. And it's been lovely to share this with you. So if you're a new viewer and you want to risk becoming a subscriber, then please do. That will certainly help me grow the channel. And if you're a regular subscriber, I hope you have enjoyed the film. And we'll stay in touch. And hopefully I'll be posting more films now that I've overcome my inertia and made this one and posted this one. So thanks very much, and I'll catch up with you again soon. All the best and goodbye.